Hello and welcome to Fast and Factual. I'm Utsaf Parekh and we begin with updates from the Israel-Hamas war. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has told the White House that he rejects any move to establish a Palestinian state. This will be when Israel ends its offensive against Gaza. He added that all the territory west of the Jordan River would be under Israeli security control. This is Israel's sharpest rebuttal to its biggest ally, the United States, and its foreign policy. The White House responded by saying that the US would continue working towards a two-state solution. Israel has vowed to press on with the war until complete victory. Netanyahu said Israeli forces have destroyed two-thirds of Hamas's fighting regiments in Gaza. He says that Israel has destroyed 16 or 17 of Hamas's 24 organized combat frameworks. He added that victory for Israel will take many more months, but its army is determined to achieve it. Advancing Israeli troops continue to pound the southern Gaza Strip's main city, Khan Yunis. Areas near the biggest hospital still functioning in the enclave were severely hit, sending patients and residents fleeing. Khan Yunis is sheltering hundreds of thousands of people who fled North Gaza and is witnessing the heaviest battle of the year so far. Residents described heavy fighting and intense bombardment in the north and east of the city, and for the first time in the west, where they said Israeli tanks had advanced. The Israeli military raided the city of Tulkarm in the occupied West Bank for a second consecutive day. At least 8 people were killed and hundreds were arrested in the raids. The IDF says it seized weapons and dozens of explosive devices in the 35-hour-long raid. Debris, rubble and damaged buildings were seen in camps in Tulkarm. Israel has arrested around 2,700 suspects in the West Bank since the start of the war. Tensions from the Israel-Hamas war continue to spill over the West Asia region. A fierce face-off between the Iran-backed Houthi group in Yemen and the US and its allies continues. The US has carried out a 5th strike against the Houthis. Washington launched strikes targeting 2 Houthi anti-ship missiles. It says they were being prepared to be launched into the Red Sea. The US says it is acting in self-defense and responding to attacks on vessels in the Red Sea. The European Parliament stopped short of calling for an unconditional ceasefire in Gaza. EU lawmakers said this should happen only if hostages were released and Hamas was dismantled. 3 groups of EU lawmakers, the Socialists, Centrists and Greens, sought a resolution calling for a permanent ceasefire. However, the centre-right European People's Party, the largest group in European Parliament, narrowly pushed through an amendment during voting to adjust the text. On to other top stories now. North Korea says it has conducted a test of its underwater nuclear weapons system. The test of the nuclear-capable underwater attack drone named Hail-523 was carried out in the waters of North Korea's east coast. Pyongyang claims the test was in response to joint military drills by the US, South Korea and Japan. North Korea has warned the allies of catastrophic consequences. According to reports, Saudi Arabia is still considering an invitation to become a member of the BRICS bloc. The BRICS members invited the kingdom to join the bloc in August last year. Sources say Saudi Arabia is currently assessing the benefits of joining the bloc, as members China and India are the kingdom's biggest trading partners. Faisal Al Ibrahim, Saudi Arabia's economy minister, said the kingdom was still in a decision-making process. NATO will be holding its largest exercise since the Cold War. NATO forces will rehearse how US troops could reinforce European allies in countries bordering Russia. This will be on the bloc's eastern flank. It's to practice for a scenario of a conflict erupting with what it says is a near-peer adversary. Around 90,000 troops are due to join the Steadfast Defender 2024 drills that will run through May. More than 50 ships, including aircraft carriers and destroyers, will take part. 80 fighter jets, helicopters and drones, and at least 1,100 combat vehicles will be included. The U.S. Congress passed a short-term stopgap spending bill to avert a government shutdown. The legislation has been sent to President Joe Biden's desk with less than 2 days left before government funding runs out. The U.S. House of Representatives approved the bill in a vote of 314 to 108, with 107 Republicans and 207 Democrats supporting the proposal. However, 106 Republicans opposed the bill as hard-right members called for steeper spending cuts. Former U.S. President Donald Trump has urged the country's Supreme Court to put a swift and decisive end to the Colorado ruling that removed him from the state's ballot. A court filing submitted by Trump's lawyers says that chaos and bedlam would be unleashed if other states followed Colorado and banned him from primaries. The state of Colorado's top court banned Trump in December, accusing him of engaging in insurrection over the 2021 U.S. Capitol riot. Turkey's first astronaut, along with 3 European crew members, embarked on their first voyage to space. They took off from the U.S. state of Florida to the International Space Station. The crew is traveling in a SpaceX Crew Dragon capsule and will reach the ISS after 36 hours. This is the first private mission arranged by a Texas startup called Axiom Space. A Thai man has been sentenced to 50 years in prison for criticizing the monarchy. This is the longest jail term handed down under the kingdom's strict lèse-majesté laws. It comes as Thailand ramps up legislation against pro-democracy protesters. Mongkol Thirakot, a 30-year-old former pro-democracy activist, has been sentenced over posts on his personal Facebook account. Thailand's lèse-majesté law punishes anyone who is critical of King Vajiralongkorn and his family. Moving to some weather and climate updates, cold wave and thick fog continue to plague parts of North India. The low visibility also caused massive traffic disruptions. Several flights were delayed and cancelled at the New Delhi airport due to the weather. India's weather department predicts that the situation will continue for the next few days. Refugee camps in northwestern Syria are battling a severe crisis as heavy rainstorms caused floods in the region. The floods have inundated over 1,700 tents across 65 refugee camps. The humanitarian situation remains dire in northwestern Syria. At least 6 people have reportedly died in floods caused by heavy rains in western Bolivia. 2 people have been reported missing. The rain caused a river to overflow, which destroyed over 95 houses. The mayor of Bolivia's Tipuani region declared the place a disaster zone. The European Union Council and Parliament have united for a provisional deal to lower carbon dioxide emissions. The deal aims for a 90% carbon dioxide emission cut for trucks and coaches by 2040. According to reports, heavy-duty vehicles contribute to more than a quarter of greenhouse gas emissions in the EU. The agreement also set a zero-emission target for urban buses by 2035. Meanwhile, the residents of Paris experienced 4 centimeters of snowfall. Authorities advised people to avoid driving as several roads were closed due to the snow. France's weather service issued warnings of black ice and floods for some parts of the country. Heavy snowfall carpeted parts of Belgium as well. The capital of Belgium, Brussels, received up to 5 centimeters of snow. Belgium's Royal Meteorological Institute issued a snow shower warning on Thursday. Much of the U.S. is gripped by freezing sub-zero temperatures caused by an Arctic blast. At least 14 people have died in Tennessee in the south in incidents linked to Winter Storm Heather. In the Northeast, New York State is witnessing heavy snowfall. New York City and Buffalo were buried in deep snow after a massive storm. In the Midwest, in Nebraska, streets and homes were covered in thick snow with fierce winds. The U.S. National Weather Service said the severe weather would persist through today. Moving to business and tech, cold weather conditions are impacting businesses and consumers in the American city of Chicago. Tesla drivers are facing difficulties in charging their cars due to below freezing temperatures. Owners are reporting that car batteries are dying in the severe conditions. Many Tesla drivers have complained that the car's batteries are barely able to hold a charge of 20% despite keeping them plugged overnight. Chinese tech giant Huawei has set up a separate smart car unit. Huawei CEO said that the company aims to manufacture and sell intelligent car systems and equipment. The tech manufacturer has already accumulated capital worth $140 million to accelerate its new car unit. Huawei jumped into the electric vehicle race in 2021. Social media platform Reddit plans to launch its initial public offering or IPO in March this year. As per reports, Reddit confidentially filed for an IPO almost 2 years ago. The San Francisco-based firm is currently valued at about $10 billion. This will be the first major IPO for a social media firm since 2019, when Pinterest went public. Amazon Web Services, or AWS, will invest over $15 billion to expand cloud computing infrastructure in Japan. 2 facilities will be opened, one in the capital Tokyo and the other in the city of Osaka. Artificial intelligence-related services will be the focus of the project. The AWS cloud computing centers are expected to be operational by 2027. Tech giant Google will invest $1 billion on building a data center in the United Kingdom. The latest infrastructure will be built just outside London. Google parent Alphabet CFO says that the new data center will help meet the growing demand for their artificial intelligence and cloud services. Tech giant Meta Platforms estimates that about 100,000 children that use Facebook and Instagram receive online sexual harassment every day. The documents reveal that the sexual harassment includes pictures of adult genitalia. Meta has issued a statement saying that they have spent a decade working towards keeping young people safe on their platforms. A Spanish court has ruled that a former Facebook employee suffered mental trauma while working for Meta Platforms. The court has ordered psychiatric treatment for the former employee, which will be supported by Meta. The former employee was a content moderator at Facebook. Their mental health was affected for repeatedly reviewing graphic content like beheadings, self-mutilations, torture, and suicide. Retail giant Walmart has announced that it will raise annual wages for its store managers in the US. The average hourly wages will be $18 starting next month. Walmart has also announced an annual bonus of up to 200% on the base salary. With the planned move, Walmart store managers could earn between $110,000 to $120,000 per annum. India's Akasa Air has announced an order of 150 Boeing 737 MAX jets. The deal is estimated to be worth around $20 billion. The new order comprises of Boeing 737 MAX 10 and MAX 8 jets. Akasa Air is expected to receive these aircraft over a span of 8 years. Oil and gas giant Shell has begun laying off hundreds of people this week. Reports say that the job cuts were announced internally in December. Shell will lay off hundreds of workers from its low-carbon solutions unit. The exact number of job cuts have not been disclosed. Moving to sports, let's start with cricket. Australia beat the West Indies by 10 wickets in the first Test match. After the end of the first innings, Australia had a lead of 95 runs. Then the West Indies were bowled out for 120. Australia chased down their target of 26 runs with all wickets in hand. They have now taken a 1-0 lead over the West Indies in the 3 Test match series. Coaches Mickey Arthur, Grant Bradburn and Andrew Putnick have resigned from the National Cricket Academy of Pakistan. They have informed the Pakistan Cricket Board that they will continue with their roles only until the end of this month. The trio had earlier been sacked from their coaching positions from the Pakistan's men's team. The mass resignation comes after the coaches were demoted from the national team to coaching youngsters at the academy. Indian batter Surya Kumar Yadav underwent a successful groin surgery in Germany. Yadav shared a post-operation update on his social media. He had sustained the injury during a match against South Africa last month. 33-year-old Yadav says he plans to be fit before the Indian Premier League begins in the second half of March. In football, Egypt drew 2-2 with Ghana in last night's Africa Cup of Nations match. Egypt lost their ace striker Mo Salah, who was escorted off the field due to a hamstring injury in the first half. Mohamed Kudus of Ghana scored a double with a goal in each half. Egypt's Omar Marmoush and Mustafa Mohamed scored to end the game tied at the final whistle. It was an upset for Africa Cup of Nations hosts Ivory Coast last night. Nigeria were handed a penalty in the 55th minute after Victor Osimhen was fouled in the penalty box. William Troost Ekong took the penalty for Nigeria and scored the winning goal. French police raided the Finance Ministry's tax administration offices last night. They have launched an investigation into the transfer of Brazilian forward Neymar from Paris Saint-Germain to Saudi club Al Hilal. Officials are suspecting that favorable tax treatment was given to PSG as part of Neymar's transfer. The Finance Ministry and PSG have not yet provided a statement. Meanwhile, the French police have threatened to disrupt airports during the Paris 2024 Olympic Games. The authorities say they will go on strike at French airports if their demands for higher pay and better working conditions are not met. French police have been demonstrating in the capital city of Paris since the start of this year. They are demanding a special Olympic bonus of over $2,000 for performing duties during the upcoming Olympic Games. In tennis, Italy's Jannik Sinner is having a strong run at the Australian Open. Italian Sinner thrashed Argentine Sebastian Baez 6-0, 6-1, 6-3. The world number 4 has now become the third player to advance to the fourth round. Sinner will next face Russia's Karen Khachanov on Saturday. World number 2 Aryna Sabalenka continued her domination at Melbourne. The Belarusian beat her Ukrainian opponent Lesia Surenko 6-0, 6-0 in straight sets. Sabalenka finished the match in just 50 minutes. She will next face American Amanda Anisimova in the fourth round of the Australian Open. There was a major upset in the women's singles at the Australian Open last night. World number 3 Elena Rybakina was sent crashing out of the tournament. Unseeded Russian Anna Blinkova beat the Kazakh Rybakina 6-4, 4-6, 7-6 in a nail-biter match. Blinkova next faces world number 26 Italian Jasmine Paolini tomorrow. In entertainment news, 2 New York City residents have sued Madonna of unconscionable, unfair and/or deceptive trade practices. The complaints allege that the singer has repeatedly failed to start her concerts on time. It added that due to the delayed concerts, the fans were left with limited and overpriced transportation options to reach home. Madonna has not yet responded to the lawsuit. Singer Doja Cat has allegedly been abused by her brother. The claims have been made by the rapper's mother, who said that her son harmed her daughter and even knocked her teeth out. Doja Cat's mother approached a court seeking protection for herself, the rapper, and her 13-year-old grandson. The nomination list for this year's BAFTA Film Awards were announced yesterday. Oppenheimer leads the pack with 13 nominations. Gothic comedy Poor Things followed with 11. Killers of the Flower Moon joined the club with 9 nods and Barbie got 5. The BAFTA award ceremony will take place in London on the 18th of February. Timothée Chalamet's Wonka has crossed the $500 million mark at the box office. For director Paul King, this number brings huge relief, and he says that this was the biggest thing he has done in his career so far. Calling Wonka an expensive film, King says that he was initially nervous about whether it would find a place or not. Wonka has also been nominated for the Outstanding British Film category of the BAFTA Awards. The cast and crew members of Poor Things had pulled a prank to make Mark Ruffalo believe that he would be replaced by Oscar Isaac. Buffalo revealed in an interview that the team brought Isaac to the set when he was shooting in the adjacent studio. Isaac told him jokingly that it's not going to work out, which for a moment made Ruffalo think that he was being replaced. Ferrari actor Penelope Cruz opened up about her fear of driving. She said in an interview that when she was 8 or 9 years old, she saw her sister getting hit by a car. Her sister survived the accident, but Cruz says that the trauma stayed with her. According to reports, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom will release on an OTT platform on the 23rd of January. Due to the film's low business at the box office, it is reportedly getting an early OTT release. The Jason Momoa starrer was released in theaters on the 22nd of December. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom is a superhero film revolving around the character of Aquaman from the DC universe. The premiere of the 4th season of the TV series The Chosen was held in Los Angeles. The story revolves around the life of Jesus of Nazareth and his community. The film stars actors Jonathan Rumi, Elizabeth Tabish, and Shahar Isaac in pivotal roles. The latest season will premiere in theaters in 2 parts from the 1st of February. Selena Gomez is gearing up for a magical return to the small screen. Gomez and David Henry will be reprising their roles for the sequel of Wizards of Waverly Palace. The sequel will move the magical legacy forward with an intriguing storyline. The first season of the show aired from 2007 to 2012. The guitar collection of British musician and former Dire Straits frontman Mark Knopfler is up for auction. The auction house in London will coordinate the sale on the 31st of January. The proceeds will be given to a charity in London. That's all for this episode of Fast and Factual. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to Firstpost.